Hi, I'm Manny, and I turned 35 recently, well, as of this recording, and I started getting the weirdest flashback. Well, not weird as in bad, but like I started sort of flashbacking to things that I hadn't remembered for so long. And one of them, as a lover of co op games, felt like something I kind of wanted to just yap about. So back before the Nintendo Wii, there was the Nintendo GameCube. Yes, I am old. And it was like a purple cube. Well, you could get it like in black and different colors, but it was a purple cube with a handle on it that used these tiny little like mini discs. And my cousin had one way before we did, and we went to my cousin's house and he showed me this game he was playing called Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And this game was kind of like a Celtic hack and slash fantasy co-op RPG. And the only really bad thing about that game that I can really like get angry about is that Nintendo, in their sheer stupid pretentiousness, decided that the co op of this game would only be playable if you had Game Boys, which were like little like handhelds, connected to the GameCube as controllers. So if you had regular GameCube controllers, you could not play Crystal Chronicles co op. And few things piss me off more than Nintendo's stupid penchant for their stupid obsession with pointless gimmicky hardware. Because I loved Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Some of the best times I ever had were when we would actually manage to get all the cables and all the Game Boys and stuff and actually manage to play it co-op. Nowadays, would it hold up? I don't know. But I know they re released it and they made the stupid decision to make multiplayer a hassle and to make it like a weird, I don't know, like they just completely fumbled that re release. But it was so much fun because it was a Final Fantasy game unlike the Final Fantasy that I was used to, because I was used to things like 7 and the OG, pixel art Final Fantasies. Uh, but it was a it wasn't turn based. It was like, you know, sort of real time combat, kind of simplistic, but it had a good rhythm to it. And you pick from four different races. One of them was a bird race, which used magic. One of them was sort of an elf like race, who were like thieves from the desert. Another one where you're like regular human dude who was like a balance of like everything. And one was the little guys. You know, in Final Fantasy 14, the Lalafels, it was kind of like that. And they were all about offense, like screw magic, like just grab a spear and whack things. And you could like get different weapons and forge stronger stuff. And the way it worked was that all the levels were like dungeons. And the game had a sort of in-game timer where completing a dungeon would advance the year by a quarter. So when you complete four dungeons, it counts as that year being completed. So the game was about the world being covered in a massive plague that you needed crystals to repel. And these caravans would go from different villages and towns and collect the sacred water from like trees in dungeons, to keep the crystals powered, to keep the poisonous fog at bay. And yes, it was kind of a bummer that the little Moogle that carries your little crystal chalice thing wasn't available in multiplayer. So if you were playing two player, well, guess what? One of you has to carry the fucking thing. But it was so much fun playing that game co-op and advancing the years and like making our way across the map and solving like little mini puzzles and stuff. And it actually had a really cool mechanic uh that had to do with like the end game boss, which basically, as you progress the year, you would create memories, which are these little like events as you travel. And these memories would actually come into it at the end where this monster was like eating your memories. So the more memories you built up, i.e., the more time you spent playing the game, the better chance you have at fighting this thing. And it was so creative and it was so much fun. And it breaks my heart that when they announced the re-release, I was so fucking pumped for this thing. I was all over it. I kept up with the news. I kept up. I bought a freaking Switch. Like, I'm not gonna miss this. I'm buying it day one. And so I did. And they just the game worked okay, but they butchered the multiplayer so bad. The design of how to actually play with others was so bad. Like, this could have been such an easy win, but they just messed it up. And they added new dungeons and stuff, and that was cool, but it just broke my heart that I never got that I was kept away from that fun co-op, hack and slash dungeon Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles experience. Firstly, because of Nintendo's stupid obsession with gimmicks, and secondly, because the people who made the re-release just felt the need to make it way more complicated than it needed to be. Putting that aside, I would love to see somebody make a Crystal Chronicles like game that played like the original Crystal Chronicles, because there were other games in the franchise, but none of them to me measured up to what the OG Crystal Chronicles accomplished with functional multiplayer that is easy to access and use. But that's just a pipe dream. That's just me, wishful thinking, because like I said, like I had this massive flashback and I remembered all the fun times. Like, we went camping and we would take the GameCube with a power plant and a TV, and we would actually try and like play out there in the, in the mountains or whatever. And it was a ton of fun. Like, I don't know. And some of some of my favorite music ever in all of video games, like right up there with Expedition 33, and I do not say that lightly. It was kind of like Celtic fantasy, sort of like fairy-ish, fae kind of tribal music stuff with a little bit of techno mixed in. But anyway, that's about all the yapping I've got for today. I just wanted to talk about that game because I just remembered that and I really needed to get it out of my system. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.